more than 1 million Ukrainians have fled their country looking for somewhere safe. Hundreds of thousands more refugees continue to leave, with most of these Ukrainians flocking to nearby Poland for help. Now, the Knights of Columbus, the Poland chapter with the Ukraine Solidarity Fund, has raised more than $2 million to help Ukrainians, providing shelter, food, medical supplies, and more. So with me now to let us know how we can help is the Director of International Growth for the Knights of Columbus, Szymon Czyszek. Szymon, dzień dobry, dziękujemy. Czy dobry wieczór tam? Która godzina w Polsce?
Teraz jest 3:30.
So in Poland right now, it's about 3:30 in the afternoon. So I guess good afternoon, Szymon. First of all, thank you for being here with me.
Well, thank you very much and good morning to you, and thank you for having me. I think it's very important that we speak about the fate of Ukrainian people, that they have to deal with, all the situations they have to deal with.
Szymon, first I want to ask about the logistics, because as we know, I think about 1.5 million Ukrainians have fled to Poland for help. How is Poland helping with the shelter and food? I know this is not an easy trek for these people. They're waiting for days and days to try and get across the border.
Yes, so I just want to start with saying that the Knights of Columbus are uniquely situated to address the situation in Ukraine and also in Poland. We have councils and members on both sides of the border, Polish and Ukrainian border. And as our CEO, Patrick Kelly, Supreme Knight, put out a word and our members responded generously. Actually, right now, we've raised over $4 million from people who want to help Ukrainian people. And just as important, we also found ways to get the humanitarian aid into Ukraine. And within days from the beginning of the war, we were able to bring a truck full of supplies, medical supplies, food, clothing, and other necessities to help people who stayed in Ukraine or fled the cities to Western Ukraine. But yes, what you just said about the situation also in Poland at the borders is also very dramatic. And just to tell you a story of a couple that I got message from, actually every day I receive messages from people asking me if we could come to the border, pick them up, or take care of their wives and children. The family woke up in Kiev as the bombing started, and they said, this is a war, so we have to make a decision, a dramatic decision. Should we leave our parents who are elderly and cannot travel? Or should we flee and take care of our free children so that we can make sure that their future will not be destroyed? And they decided to flee, leaving their parents behind. But getting into Poland is not an easy thing. They had to travel for days and wait in lines for 3 days. But as they were getting closer to Poland, as they were getting closer to freedom, with every mile closer to freedom, they were also getting closer to this dramatic decision. Will my husband be able to go with me or not? As you know, Ukrainian men are not allowed to leave Ukraine. So they were facing this decision. Well, we'll be able to travel together, or will we have to be separated? I'll be able to go into Poland, and my husband will have to go back to Ukraine. When I asked them how much luggage they have, they finally made it. There was a recent change in the rule that men who have free children are allowed to cross the border. But when I asked them how much luggage they have, they said, well, not much. Well, it will be sufficient to take just one suitcase. But in fact, we did take two because we were not sure if we had to be separated or not. So these are the choices that these people have to face. And just imagine the dramatic situation. You know, if you were to travel today from San Diego to San Francisco for 7 hours with a child that is 3.5 years old, that would be a challenge. They had to travel for 3 days. So imagine the conditions that they had to deal with, the choices and the discussions that they had, how to deal with the future. So these are the choices that these people have to deal with. And but when they do cross the border, they receive tremendous support from people, but it's also coming from all different organizations, but also from the Knights of Columbus. And we've received again a great support, a great outpouring of support. We received donations from people from all over the world who want to make sure that something is done. Today, if you feel helpless, when you see all the reports coming from the media about the situation in Ukraine, and you ask yourself, what can I do? I encourage you to join our Ukrainian Solidarity Fund, visit our website at kofc.org, and there'll be information how you can donate to this Ukrainian Solidarity Fund and support the relief effort. 100% of the donations go to relief effort. We have no overhead. And that's why I think we can be very effective in bringing help to people who stayed in Ukraine, but also those who are trying to cross the border and those who will come to Poland, because this will be a long-term commitment and project. That's what we do.
Szymon, so my family is from Poland, so it makes me very proud to see the country stepping up to help. I know there's a video. It's hard not to have feelings about this. A picture that got a lot of attention of a train platform in Poland. I believe it was the Przemysl train station about 8 miles from Ukraine's border, where people were leaving the strollers for people with families, just a line of strollers, for those who are trying to get into Poland. And it's amazing to see the country coming together to help those in Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly. I visited recently. You just have to stop by at the library, where I typically go with my kids to get some books. But this time, this library was transformed in a center of distribution for children. The whole hallway was filled with car seats and other supplies for children. So we see this huge transformation of the reality here in Poland. And I believe that the Polish people responded with great effect. I think this is a great sign of solidarity between Polish and Ukrainian people. And I believe that when you think about the 80s, about the solidarity movement that was the largest workers' union that brought to an end Soviet Union, I think that the solidarity that we see today could also have this power to transform hearts and minds of thousands and millions of people across the world to bring about the end of this terror that Ukrainian people are facing today.
Szymon, you're in Kraków right now, right?
Correct. Yes, I'm in Kraków.
So I just want to ask personally, how are you feeling, and how is the emotion, in the country? It's hard to ask, but I mean, with thousands upon thousands of people, coming in for help.
Yeah, I mean, this is a dramatic situation, I would say. Yesterday evening, I visited Krakow train station. This place has never looked like this. It's filled with refugees who are trying to travel to some locations throughout the country. They feel lost. They need help. So there is it's impossible not to see the effects of the war in Ukraine in Poland. This is definitely going to be a time that is going to change not only Ukraine but also Poland and our region. But I think there's a reason for hope. The outpouring of solidarity, great response of the Polish people, and also people from all over the world, in the US and Canada, all the donations, all the support that we are getting. This will be a great movement to show that solidarity and this spiritual power to overcome evil with good that can bring great results. And I encourage every person who's sitting today thinking about what I can do. I don't want to stand idle. So if you ask yourself this question, you can support the Knights of Columbus in our efforts to address this situation immediately, but also in the long term. This is our long-term commitment. Knights of Columbus, when we get involved, we help immediately, but we also stay for the long haul. So if you do care about the future of Ukraine, if you do care about the future of Ukrainian people and the effects this war will have also on Ukraine and Poland, I encourage you to visit us and support us in this cause.
Szymon, it's good to talk to you just because we have, sometimes when we report the news, there are a lot of numbers, millions fleeing, but these are people, these are individual people with families who are separated. So it's good to hear these personal stories and kind of put it into perspective. Is there anything else that you would like to say?
Yeah, no, we are just very grateful for all the support. I would just say that my heart is breaking whenever I go and see and work with people who are fleeing, who have to make these dramatic choices. Just to give you another story, our friends from East Coast, they have relatives in Kiev, and they have men, women, and children that stayed in Kiev, and they call me and they ask what to do. And the men, they said, no, we have to stay and take care of our elderly parents, but we would like to send women to Poland. But women are afraid to leave because it's dangerous. All the bombing is happening. So they ultimately decided to leave. That the women decided to go to Poland. They made it to Poland, but the men had to stay and take care of the elderly parents. But when you think about this, these are the choices that these people have to make. That yes, women are safe, but they had to leave their husbands, their fathers. The families will not be the same. These decisions will define their lives forever. And these are real people that need our help today.
Yeah. Szymon, dziękujemy Ci bardzo. Dziękujemy Ci. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, we will be right back after a quick break.